National Affairs Editor Rahul Srivastava on this broadcast. Rahul, good evening. You know, you've got Nirmala Sitharaman, Rajnath Singh, top Modi ministers all speaking out against what ex-US President Barack Obama said a couple of days ago. The larger problem, however, for the Modi government right now is combating this narrative, and it's not limited to Barack Obama. It's a narrative that's systematically been built up over the last many years that, you know, the BJP is a Hindutva party, that they trample upon Muslims and minorities' rights. How is really the government planning to combat that overall, that narrative, Rahul?
See, Akshata, the world of global diplomacy has moved from the north to the south pole. It is a commonly known fact that in the international world of diplomacy, big countries like the US, the advanced West, always has an opinion or two about the developing nations and others. And it has always been a charge by the developing nations and the underdeveloped ones that these big nations and big economies don't mend their own houses, but are critical about others. Now, the fact remains that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a very successful visit to the US. Joe Biden administration toasted him, and given the geopolitical realities of today, geopolitical realities in which China is the elephant in the room. And in that scenario, India's economic status, its possibilities in terms of the largest working population, manpower and others, and also where it stands vis-a-vis China is also very critical for America. So the Biden administration bends backwards to accommodate India and toast India. Whereas Barack Obama has to cater to a constituency. This is not the first time he has done it. In 2015, he had attacked the India and the Indian government at that time, largely criticizing on the attacks on the minority community, especially the Christians. So it's a commonly known fact. Now, usually government should incorporate all these things as far as their larger broad policy framework is concerned, if there are certain concerns being made. But nevertheless, the point is that India realizes its geopolitical significance, its economic significance, and that is why Nirmala Sitharaman's comment and other in the BJP is indicative of a very muscular response. India has decided that those days when it would take such criticism in its stride and not really respond because they were dealing with the big nation, I think those days are over. And I think there will be very strong muscular response, and Nirmala Sitharaman is reminding that how many times and how many countries and how many places America had bombed, which are largely minority driven. Also the fact that how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been awarded and felicitated in several Islamic nations. But the point here is that what is significant is that diplomacy has become a political instrument in America, and so has in India. So you have a Prime Minister going to the US, and then there is celebrations in India. Prime Ministers' foreign trips have become part of domestic politics. And that is why you find that the domestic politicians, the Congress and the opposition and others, are using Barack Obama's statement as a flagging device as far as the functioning of the Prime Minister is concerned. And this comes on close heels on what Rahul Gandhi had said on his foreign tour recently, that the West was turning a blind eye to what was happening in India. So what one can say is that this kind of play of presidents in America looking at the Indian vote bank, Indians there in America, toasting India, and Indian politicians attacking Prime Minister on what Barack Obama says, I think it's part and parcel of global diplomacy now. I think India will continue what I hear from the
and a larger narrative that's also been said. Thanks very much, Rahul, for joining us with all of those details.